Welcome to Mind Over Matter with your host, Anya, where we explore the science and soul of personal transformation. Today's guest, Amy Vince, has spent over 20 years in the health and wellness industry, helping people heal from the inside out. As a massage therapist, nutritional therapist, colon hydrotherapist, Reiki master, and tapping coach, Amy has deep understanding of the mind-body connection. But what she's most passionate about? EFT tapping, a powerful tool for releasing emotions and physical pain. Amy is the founder of the Soul with Tapping app, and she's here to show us why tapping is one of the most accessible and transformative healing techniques available today. So, how can tapping help us break from stress, anxiety, and even chronic pain? What's the science behind it? And how can you start using this tool today? So, let's get into it. Amy, for those who aren't familiar, what exactly is EFT tapping and how does it help with healing?
Great question. EFT tapping is very similar to acupuncture, in, but instead of using needles to break apart blocked energy, it uses the percussion of tapping. So we are tapping on the acupressure points, but we are also using verbal cues to talk about whatever it is we want to release. So, with that added element, it makes tapping 10 times more powerful than what I've ever experienced with acupuncture because it's energy healing. It is somatic healing because you are actually tapping on your body, which forces you to get into your body and to get into this present moment. And then there is the cognitive aspect of talking about whatever it is you want to release that makes it extremely powerful, extremely effective, and really fast.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. But some people might wonder, what does this actually work? Or is it just a placebo? So, what does science say about tapping?
Well, so far there have been over 300 studies done about tapping and have all proved some efficacy at some point. um, Meaning that every single study has shown some improvement, either in lowering the stress hormone cortisol, lowering blood pressure, lowering heart rate, lowering pain. In fact, I've got some of the results of a recent study, and I don't remember all the numbers, so I'm just going to read off of this really quick. Um, but in the study, the researchers gathered data on scores for happiness, anxiety, depression, PTSD symptoms. And after doing a training on EFT, people reported that anxiety decreased by 40%, depression decreased by 35, PTSD symptoms decreased by 43, pain decreased by 57%, cravings decreased by 74%, and happiness increased by 31%. So, across the board, tapping is getting really amazing results with all of the studies that have been done to this point.
Mm-hmm. It's incredible that something as simple as tapping on specific points can have such deep impact on our emotions and physical health.
Yes, I totally agree. I
Mm-hmm.
totally agree. And the truth is that there is an emotional aspect to everything, including pain typically, that once dealt with and released from the body by tapping and by talking about them, that's how we release them from the body. Then we are able to relax and surrender and feel better overall. It allows our energy to move. And when our energy is flowing unimpeded, that's when we are in a state of health. And that's what tapping allows us to do.
Mm-hmm. Right. A lot of people struggle with daily stress and anxiety.
Mhm.
How can tapping be used as an instant tool for calming the mind?
Most people, when they experience anxiety, what is truly happening is that somehow they are being triggered, that there is something in their day that is triggering a fear within them, a fear of past trauma or just a fear in general. And what that does is that triggers the fight or flight response in our brain, the amygdala. And so, what tapping does actually is that it starts sending a calming signal to the amygdala in our brain. And it tells us to feel calm and relaxed about whatever it is that is triggering us. So, for example, we'll just say that maybe somebody is going throughout their day and they're procrastinating and they don't recognize that what's really happening is that they're being triggered and they're feeling anxious in their body. They don't really understand what emotions are coming up. They just have this umbrella that they label as anxiety. But like I said, what's happening is that somebody is being triggered. Some fear is being triggered within them. It's not that they're just lazy or, they have some character defect called procrastination. That is a symptom of a deeper underlying fear. And then we use tapping to talk about that fear, to question whether or not it's still a really valid fear, and to bolster our confidence to move through that fear and send that calming signal to the amygdala, the stress center of our brain. And then we can actually move forward without the procrastination becoming an issue any longer.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, could you walk us through a quick, beginner friendly tapping routine that anyone listening can try right now?
Sure. Do you want to do it on anxiety in particular?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay, great. Um, so I'll just go over the tapping points that I use really quickly because many other um, tapping coaches will use different points, and that doesn't mean that any of them is wrong or ineffective. It just means that they're different. This is the way that I learned. So I'll go through the tapping points that I use and the tapping points that are available on the app. So the first one is on your karate chop point, which is just down from the pinky finger on either hand. And you're going to tap those two spots together as if you're going to karate chop a piece of wood or something. You just tap those two spots together. So that is our karate chop point. And we're going to, at this point, we say like 3 setup statements. And then we move to the other tapping points and we use what are called repeater phrases. So let's go over the other tapping points. The first one is at the beginning of your eyebrow points on either side of your face. I like to tap on both sides of my body, but some practitioners will just do one side or the other. So the beginning of the eyebrow point, and then on the side of your eye, right at your temple, is the next one. And then under your eye, right on your cheekbones, and then under your nose, under your mouth, and then the collarbone point. If you find the beginning of your collarbone, you're going to go down about an inch. There's a little valley in between your collarbone and your ribs on either side of your sternum. And that is the tapping point for our collarbone. And then under your arms, for women, it's right where your bra strap would be, or for men, maybe 3 or 4 inches down from your armpit. I like to hug myself when I do it. And then your ribs is the next one. For women, it's like right below where your bra strap would be on your ribs. And for men, maybe 2 to 3 inches down from your nipple. And then your wrist point is the next one. And there are 3 different acupressure points on your wrists, on the outside, middle, and outside. And so when I'm tapping my wrists together, I'm trying to hit all 3 spots. And then the last one is up on top of your head. So let's get started on a real quick tapping script for anxiety. Again, this is just kind of a big blanket word for feeling like a nervous and feeling like things are unsafe for whatever reason. We often don't even recognize why we're feeling that way. It just happens. The triggering happens in our body, and we're left feeling with this anxious feeling. So we're going to start tapping on our karate chop point. And listeners and you, Anya, you can repeat after me and say, even though I feel extremely anxious right now,
Even though I feel extremely anxious right now,
I love and honor all parts of who I am anyway.
I love and honor all parts of who I am anyway.
Even though I'm feeling this extreme anxiety in my body,
Even though I feel this extreme anxiety in my body,
I love and honor all my thoughts and feelings about it.
I love and honor all my thoughts and feelings about it.
Even though I feel like um, something is unsafe, even though I don't know what it is,
Even though I feel like something is unsafe and I don't know what it is,
I am open and willing to let this fear go
I am open and willing to let this fear go
and look at this from a completely new perspective.
and look at this from a completely new perspective.
Okay, now we're going to tap on our eyebrow point and just repeat after me.
hmm
I feel anxious in my body right now.
I feel anxious in my body right now.
Something feels unsafe and I don't know what it is.
Something feels unsafe and I don't know what it is.
And I just feel so uncomfortable.
And I just feel so uncomfortable.
And I want to honor that at the deepest level.
And I want to honor that at the deepest level.
Maybe I feel completely overwhelmed
Maybe I feel completely overwhelmed
and it's making me feel unsafe.
and it's making me feel unsafe.
Or maybe I've been triggered in some way
Or maybe I've been triggered in some way
and my subconscious mind is trying to warn me
and my subconscious mind is trying to warn me
that something is unsafe.
that something is unsafe.
And I want to honor whatever my body is trying to tell me.
And I want to honor whatever my body is trying to tell me.
My body is trying to warn me.
My body is trying to warn me.
That's where all these uncomfortable feelings are coming from.
That's where all these uncomfortable feelings are coming from.
Something feels really scary.
Something feels really scary.
It's not that there's something wrong with me.
It's not that something is wrong with me.
It's that I am feeling really scared
It's just that I'm feeling really scared
for whatever reason
for whatever reason
or for a million reasons.
or for a million reasons.
And I just want to honor how hard this is.
And I just want to honor how hard this is.
And I want to honor that my body is trying to help me,
And I want to honor that this my body is trying to help me,
even if it's going about it in a way that doesn't feel good.
even if it's going about it in a way that it doesn't feel good.
So I want to try and relax into my body now.
So I want to try and relax into my body now.
Relax and recognize that I am totally safe in this moment,
Relax and recognize that I'm totally safe in this moment.
feeling so calm and peaceful in my body.
Feeling so calm and peaceful in my body.
And recognizing that that I can let this fear go,
And recognizing that I can let this fear go.
that I don't have to hold on to it.
That I don't have to hold on to it.
And maybe it's not even helping me.
And maybe it's not even helping me.
Maybe this fear is from a time long ago,
Maybe this fear is from a time long ago.
and it's okay to let it go now.
And it's okay to let it go now.
Maybe it's safe to let it go now,
Maybe it's safe to let it go now.
and I can release all this anxiety from my body.
And I can release all this anxiety from my body.
I'm letting it go.
I'm letting it go.
I'm letting go of all this anxiety,
I'm letting go all this anxiety,
releasing it from every cell in my body,
releasing it from every cell from my body,
releasing it from every fiber of my being,
releasing it from every fiber of my being,
and releasing it completely.
and releasing it completely.
Okay, take a nice deep breath. And that's a sample tapping script for just general anxiety without knowing what the underlying fear is. You can use that as a band-aid because we all need a band-aid sometimes just to make it through the day. But there are tapping scripts on the app that can address the underlying fears, what I call foundational fears that are usually underneath all of that, all anxious issues, which would be things like a fear of not being enough, fear of rejection or abandonment, fear of not belonging, and then also fear of our body. And that usually shows up for people that have a lot of unresolved trauma, and sinking down into their body is a really uncomfortable feeling because that's where all of the stored emotions are. Um, so things like that, working on the foundational fears more than anything will help to reduce the root cause of anxiety. But just using the tapping script that we just did as a band-aid will also help in a moment.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And that was so powerful. I can already feel how just a few moments of tapping can shift the energy and mindset.
Yeah, it will start releasing cortisol from your body immediately at a rate of roughly 40% faster than without doing anything else.
Mm-hmm. So, you have personally used tapping to heal from chronic pain. How does tapping work for physical symptoms as well as emotional ones?
Because there is usually an emotional element, to any and all pains, including, like, if somebody has had an accident or an injury, if there is lingering pain from that, there is usually an emotional element to it because our bodies are really designed to heal. So if it hasn't healed within a certain period of time, you can pretty much guess that there is some emotion that's attached to it, some limited feeling or fear that is attached to it that is causing the pain to continue. Um, and I like to use the chakra system as kind of a map to determine how you figure out what that is. It's really difficult to figure out the source of emotional pain, but using the chakras as kind of a map helps me in my practice to kind of decode what a client's body is trying to tell them, including my own body, and then sink into that, whatever that is, and try and unravel it with tapping and neutralize every single aspect of it. I'll use an example of bladder infections. For me, I've had probably thousands of bladder infections in my life. It's just something that has always plagued me. And what I recognize is, after a lot of like personal research and kind of digging into it, and what I recognized was that I was trapping fear in my bladder and not allowing it to flow through me. I was kind of using it as an excuse to not move forward in my life on certain things. And so whenever I experience the symptoms of a UTI, I know that I am trapping fear. And so it takes me a minute, but I will like sink down into my bladder and think about everything that's going on in my life and really try to uncover what is it that I'm really afraid of, and then use tapping to release that fear so that I can shed the pain and the symptoms of a UTI. And 9 times out of 10, it always works for me. I'm trying to think of a client in particular. She came to me because she was struggling with extreme joint pain. This was a symptom of like long COVID after experiencing, after going through COVID. She had long COVID and it manifested in her as joint pain. But she also, and that is a symptom of the root chakra, joint pain, bigger symptoms, I should say bigger systems in the body have to do with the lower root chakra. And so we addressed all of the issues having to do with the root chakra first for her. And she has experienced a tremendous recovery from her joint pain. Now, she still experiences it because she will continually kind of get into that fear associated with the root chakra. But then now she has this tool that she can use to address it and neutralize that joint pain over and over again, and heal herself. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's
Okay, good.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, for
I,
someone struggling with long term pain, how
mhm.
often should they tap and how long does it take to see results?
That will depend on the person
Mm.
and the issue. For chronic pain having as the result of like an injury, like a car accident or an assault of some kind, um, it can usually be released much faster because it's usually like a one event that we can spend some time neutralizing all of the emotions around it, including any regrets, any guilt, any shame over anything that happened, like neutralize all of those emotions around it, and then start kind of unraveling the pain using an understanding of that event, then it can go a lot faster. If it's chronic pain, say, for example, like chronic shoulder pain or chronic knee pain, when there isn't an injury or associated with that, then it's usually the result of decades of limited thinking. And it takes longer to dislodge something like that. But I would recommend tapping every single day. I mean, it only takes roughly like 15 to 20 minutes a day, really focusing in on something. And if you dedicate yourself to that, again, it depends on the person, but if you dedicate yourself to that and get rid of all of the fears around letting it go, get rid of all of the emotions associated with the cause of it, then you could release it within a couple of weeks to 6 months. I mean, it would definitely reduce it very, very quickly. But if you're dedicated to it, it could go really fast.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
it's amazing to think of pain not just as a physical issue, but as something deeply connected to our emotions.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not separate, right? Our emotions live in our body, and over time, like when you are happy, you've got happiness hormones coursing throughout your body, and we know that when we're stressed, we have stress hormones coursing throughout our body. So it's not surprising that those emotions and those chemicals that are created with the emotion lodge themselves in our bodies somewhere. And over time, it can cause a disturbance it always causes a disturbance in our energy. But over time, as it builds up, when it is not released from our body and from our system, it can cause pain. Even if there isn't an injury, it will cause pain. It will cause some kind of disease. I mean, even doctors agree that over 90% of whatever happens in our body is the cause of stress. And so we know that there's this huge element of emotional contributors to disease, to chronic pain, to even things like cancer. And it is in our best interest to at least research for ourselves what could be the cause of this from from my own perspective. Was it stress? Was it a certain way of thinking and being and moving around in the world? If I really want to heal at the root level, it benefits us to look at it from just a Western medical perspective, but also from an energetic and an emotional perspective, and even spiritual. Attack it from all fronts, and you will most likely achieve really fast results if you do it from all of those different angles.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So you created the Soar with Tapping app to make
Mhm.
the healing method more accessible. What inspired you to build it?
Um, well, it was really when I was kind of really embracing the fact that I wanted to do this as a living, but I felt like I wasn't reaching enough people. I had experienced my own kind of unique transformation about with tapping, and I wanted the whole world to have access to it. And this was pretty much the best avenue to do that. And also because I was doing research about what tapping apps were available at the time, and it felt like there was a hole in what was being offered at the time, in that it really just offered kind of a surface level understanding and approach to tapping. But I believe that tapping is so much more powerful, and it can heal the root cause of pretty much any issue. And so I that's what I set out to do when I created the Soar with Tapping app, was really get to the root cause of things and honor and acknowledge the really difficult feelings that most people don't often allow themselves to acknowledge. And because that is what releases it from our system. We need to go deep. We need to lean into the things that feel really uncomfortable, and then we can release it from our body completely. That is the way to heal things. The way to do it is through the tough emotions. And I didn't see that that was being offered out there in the world. So that's why I felt like I really had to create the Soar with Tapping app and give people that ability to heal themselves without spending thousands of dollars on therapy. They don't have to do that. They can do that with the app.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And it's so easy for anyone to use anytime, anywhere.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Amy, your work is truly life changing. You have shown us that healing doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as tapping into our own energy. Mhm.
Yes, I agree. Anybody has access to it anytime, anywhere, and it's very, very simple.
Mhm. And for everyone listening, if you're ready to reduce stress, release trauma, and reclaim your emotional freedom, check out Soul with Tapping and start experiencing the benefits yourself. Until next time, remember, your mind is more powerful than you think. Keep tapping, keep healing, and keep rising.